Welcome to the Managing People podcast, a place for people with curious minds. Hello, I'm Pete Fullard, and I've a real interest in people, and in particular what makes a great people manager. And that's what this podcast is all about, listening to people that have been there and done it, tell their stories and share their experiences. You can find a whole load of insights and resources on the People Management Hub, and the link is in the episode notes. And if you need to upskill and measure managers, then check out the Managing People page at upskillpeople.com. My guest this time knows how to manage people to manage brands. From sky-high global marketing to gold standard award-winning performance in a sector that touches all our lives. And now to making literally tens of thousands of people feel comfortable every day. We'll find out about all of that and more. Laim Gibson, welcome to the Managing People podcast.
Thank you.
It's very good to have you here, Laim. So let's start at the beginning. Where did your exposure to your career and great people managers start then?
Well, I'd say firstly from school. So secondary school in Leicester. People sometimes cite kind of great teachers and that influence you, and I've got one, Mr. Hunt, economics teacher. That was very interesting for me. It linked to business, and that kind of gave me a bit of a leg up into what I wanted to do at university, which was business studies. He was just very funny. He was a West Ham fan, so bless him, you can't have it all. But he was very engaging. Didn't take any rubbish, but he kind of knew his stuff, and you really wanted to learn and wanted to go to his lessons. So yeah, thank you to Mr. Hunt.
And was Mr. Hunt the same with everybody?
He was brilliant. Didn't take any rubbish. When there were a few slightly naughty folks, kids messing about, didn't take any rubbish, Pete. He was just all on it, but absolutely had the passion for the subjects, and that really shone through, and that kind of resonated with me.
Yeah, that word passion, if somebody really believes and enjoys what they're doing, it makes such a difference to how they put things across.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was really good.
So where next? What happened next in your career?
I'd say economics for me had quite a key link to business. So I chose business studies. Went to Northampton University, where I'm residing now. Did a 4-year business studies course. It had various elements in it, design, marketing, ops, finance. In the 3rd year, a sandwich placement course. So you did 12 months in industry, where I actually worked for the university as a marketing exec, doing various things such as tour guiding to prospective students around the campus, where with my mates who were just trying to wind me up as they were in the pub. I wrote reports for the directorate. I went to sixth form colleges to do talks to sixth form students to try and encourage them to come to Northampton Uni. So yeah, that definitely shaped me. It was a really interesting role.
And was that experience in what you might call the real world, did that steer the way you wanted to go in your career?
A little bit. If I'm honest, I wasn't too sure exactly what kind of industry or kind of sector, but business, marketing really was what kind of what kind of resonated, what really kind of interests me. So marketing was the kind of option in the course that I kind of leaned to.
And where did that lead you next then?
So it actually didn't lead me to a marketing job. My first role was in finance for a company called IPSL. They're part of the Unisys group. It was in Northampton, and it was a business analyst role, looking at a check clearing operation project moving from London to Northampton. Extremely boring. I don't know how I managed 2 years, but I did it. The manager didn't help. I mean, she was lovely, but she was remote. Hardly ever saw her, so that didn't help at all. But had some good friends that saw me through. 2 years was enough for me, and then I moved on.
And what was the management style and the culture like there?
Kind of, I won't say cutthroat, but very intense. Results. The people side didn't really get a look in. I'm sure it's all changed now. This was 20 odd years ago now. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. I say the manager was lovely, but hardly saw her. She worked remotely, I think, other side of the country actually, and that was, I think that was the norm in the teams that were around me there. So people got used to it. I didn't. Didn't really work for me. So when we had our half yearly appraisals and meetings, it's like seeing a new person again. It just didn't feel right for me.
Remote working's changed quite a bit since then.
Absolutely, yes. It definitely wasn't like that. So I just hardly saw her face for months and months.
So after your dip into finance, did you finally get into marketing then?
Yes, I did. Yes. A close friend of ours who's my wife's school friend and still is, she got me a foot in the door. In fact, she did the same course as I did at university. And her placement year was at Avon Cosmetics in Northampton. So she got me a foot in the door there, and I think, started as a marketing research executive in the market research team. So looking into various reports on different makeups and products, and looking at competitors as well, so Boots and L'Oreal and all those big companies, and doing a bit of undercover competitor work, and the other kind of home selling companies. Clean Easy was one of them, I think. So I did 2 weeks of undercover work being a Clean Easy agent, making a few extra quid, but then reporting back to the business as to how they did things compared to what Avon did. And I think I remember some of my findings resulted in some changes because of what the competitor did. So I was quite proud of that.
I didn't know marketing involved undercover work, Liam.
Yeah, well, that was again a good few years ago, but that was really interesting at the time.
And was the culture different there?
Oh, so much. As soon as I entered the building, again, so sounds cheesy, but I felt like a different person. Just felt like me. That you had a real sense of team culture. Everyone knew who everyone was, and that linked to the seniors as well. So the seniors absolutely made sure of going to meet new starters, young or old, introduce themselves. But what I can remember was the very kind of sense of communication, and what they call the town hall meetings now. Sound very old now, but very regular. Going to the big kind of conference room, what the plans were, what the objectives, what the challenges, and how we're going to go about it. And it all fed down through the managers to everyone. So that was a real big thing and real kind of change from what I was used to at IPSL. So that was a good thing.
And did that give you clarity about what part you had to play in the success and the strategy of the organisation?
Absolutely. You could very easily see how your work then cascaded up to the kind of top brass and what they've got to report on, and kind of vice versa, what then you've got to do. So absolutely. But yeah, the kind of culture was they kind of celebrated success, a team camaraderie element, and you just felt included from the first day that I walked in the door.
Sounds like a very nice change.
Yes, it was. It's really good. Yeah.
So after there, what teased you away from that place then?
Well, the team I was in, the market research team, got disbanded, so I was moved into the e-commerce team, onto a more analytical, statistical role, which didn't really utilise my skill set. So combined with a manager that somewhat more erratic than I was used to, made my move into the airline industry.
And I can't let erratic go. What sort of things were typically manifesting themselves as erratic?
I thought you'd ask that question. Yes, she wasn't very structured. At the last minute, she'd just drop a few things on. Not just me, but the team, her team that I was in. It wasn't very planned or structured. And then when things got a bit stressed, targets were tight. It was just the kind of stress levels went up, and you could just tell it all fed through to the team, and the atmosphere didn't really work for me and to the team, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, that's how I'd probably describe what happened.
And would you agree with the phrase that you leave a manager, not an organisation?
Yes, from that particular example, it was unfortunate because the manager I had when I first joined in the research team, complete opposite. Just such a nice people person. She got to understand you as a person, so how you work, how you tick, how you operate, and the fact that she was 3 yards away helped me just to ask as many questions as I kind of needed to. But I remember her really pushing me as well, so she could see the potential in me, and just really push me, obviously to develop myself, but also to help the company. Whereas the manager in the e-commerce team wasn't that. No, it was kind of she was very insular, needed to hit targets, and it was like the iron fist. Come on. It just wasn't very inclusive.
So a nice move into the airline sector. What happened then?
Had a very good recruitment agency that helped me out. Really understood me again, how I how I work, what made me tick, and she found a role accordingly. So yeah, Monarch Airlines down at Luton Airport. So it was a bit of a change for me, especially from the commuting point of view. So 1 hour from Northampton down to Luton on the lovely M1 when they were doing all the roadworks. But it was kind of testament to the role that made me stay there for 10 years, and the company, sorry. Just such a wonderful set of people, group of people. I think you're very lucky in life to be put in with a group at work that just get on. And yeah, over 10 years, you can see that I naturally, or you can imagine that I naturally changed into different groups, or people moved on, new people came in. But it was just like a revolving door of nice person leaves, nice person comes in. It was just, that's how it was. And again, similar to Avon, very strong sense of team culture. Um, the managers were encouraged to form that bond with the team. That was good. And again, similar to Avon in terms of communication and the kind of town hall communication pieces that they did. Very good at letting you know where the company was, what the kind of, I remember the kind of North Star objective as they called it, that Monarch wanted to be, let me think now, memory's being tested, the most recommended airline in Europe, and that's what we kind of all kind of leading up to. Monarch was a fantastic company, unfortunately, as we all know, is no more.
And how did your management career develop in Monarch? Is that the first time you had a team of people to manage?
So I started work for a lady called Catherine, lovely lady. She went on maternity leave, and she championed me to take over her role in on a temporary basis, and I'll always be grateful for that, because she pushed me, and I had that imposter syndrome, thinking, oh, I'm not good enough for this. But no, she said, no, come on, you can do it. So yeah, that was my kind of big break, so to speak. I kind of, the door was open for me, and I walked straight through it, and I've never looked back since. Yeah, I soon managed 2 or 3 people. Again, teams kind of change over the years, but I was in the direct marketing team looking after email marketing, postal, SMS comms for the airline, and the team grew steadily. I worked with different departments as well, and yeah, got used to managing people and agencies, which was a good combination, and managing the budget as well, which was my first time. So yeah, a real change for me, and a step change and a kind of step up.
And how did managing external people, effectively agencies, compare to managing and developing your internal team?
So we had an incumbent agency based in London, WDMP. I still name them because they were fantastic. Really enjoyed working with them, and they understood from day one when I became the manager, because Catherine had bigged me up, for want of a better word, and kind of gave them a bit of a insight as to I was slightly nervous of the role, a bit apprehensive, but they absolutely took that on board, understood, and kind of helped me, and they were kind of like an extension of the team. So we had various campaigns and activities through them, and it was a pleasure working with them. They were absolutely fantastic.
And then in terms of your own team, you obviously have responsibility not just to manage but to develop them. How did you approach that?
Like Avon, Monarch had a very good structure of development journey reviews, regular one-to-ones. Again, you were encouraged to do that, and I wanted to do it. Again, similar to what I said earlier on, I wanted to get to know my staff, because and my team, because you work with them for such a long time, large proportion of the week. You kind of need to know them as people, again, to know how they tick, how they operate, yeah, so I made sure that I did that in accordance with all the kind of structure that Monarch had. And then as managers, you're always encouraged to, well, you were asked to present your strategy to the wider team as well. So that got me used to the future roles that came afterwards as well.
And how has your management style developed and been shaped by your good and bad experiences of being managed? What tips did you pick up, and what things were you determined not to do?
Yeah, I wasn't keen on certain managers, not mentioned kind of already, with the iron fist, just like, you will do this and just do it now, it needs doing 5 minutes ago. There are better ways of firstly talking to people, but also to put a bit of structure behind the request. There's clearly reasons why you want something doing. So you need to outline the objective, the background, what you expect, timeframes. I've done my very best to be as structured as I can to give some framework. I think kind of framework is the key word actually, to various tasks and responsibilities for the team that I lead. So I'd say that's a key element. Yeah, I've kind of mentioned a few times, but knowing your team, just doing your best, and again trying to form bonds. Now, you are workmates at the end of the day. You're never going to be best mates with all of your team. It's just not going to happen. That's just life. But I've kind of made sure that I've absolutely tried to know my team and to just to know more about them. So they're just not a number. They're kind of part of your setup. You have to nurture them. You have to try and to develop them, and again for them individually, but also for the company, because ultimately it's going to help the company.
Absolutely. So Monarch, where after that then?
So 10 years at Monarch. I remember being so it went bust October 17, and we had a half-term trip to Cornwall, and I was trying to half have a holiday but half look for a job. And I remember being on the laptop and my wife said, "Oh, have you seen this role? Plumbase, plumber's merchant, head of marketing." I went, "Oh, okay, let's give that a go." Again, it was a bit of a step up for me because I've never stepped up to a kind of head of role before. It was based in Milton Keynes, so just down the road, 20 minutes. And yeah, so it was successful, obviously. Yeah, it was definitely a challenge, put it that way, to kick off with. So there for 2.5 years. The boss was brilliant, and again, I will mention her, Claire. She was a remote manager like the IPSL lady that I mentioned. However, she absolutely made sure she was in the office at certain times of the week on regular occasions when she could. Again, because she understood and appreciated the value of team and bringing the team together. Because she had quite a few people to manage. So I really appreciated that. Plumbing and the trades. It's a tough industry. You have to have thick skin. I learnt that pretty quick, and Claire will. I don't think she'll mind me saying she's got that in spades, and she really held her own there, and I think that rubbed off on me. Really appreciated what she did for me, and then the kind of wider kind of heads of that were quite close to. We've kind of formed quite a close knit team as well. And that sense of camaraderie and celebrating success is a key one for Plumbase. Whenever we had a good win, we absolutely made sure we celebrated it. So that came out for me.
And what were some of the wins you celebrated? What were you proud of achieving there?
So one of the campaigns and activities that my team ran, something called the Super Eights. So as a bit of background, we had to there was around 150 plus branches around the UK from Plumbase, like a plumber's merchant. And so we had to provide kind of first-class marketing collateral for them to then encourage Joe Blogg's plumber to come in and buy stuff. So in theory, there's 150 plumbers and ex-plumbers that were branch managers that we had to please. So you had to build a rapport pretty quickly. To make sure they're on board, plus the regional managers, etc. So we developed a series of Super 8s. So these were 8 events up and down the country, held at Sports Arena. So you're talking Murrayfield in Scotland, St James's Park, Newcastle, Old Trafford, Villa Park, Twickenham, the new Spurs Stadium. And we set up events there whereby we had various suppliers that we work with, Myra, Bristol, all these companies that you probably heard of, to come in and showcase their new products and services and to attract the kind of plumbers around that area. So it was a real kind of key marketing and awareness piece for Plumbase. So that was a big time investment and cost investment, but we pulled it off. We had some fantastic results, both from a monetary point of view and from anecdotal feedback from the branch managers, the regional managers. But to make it so, we ensured that we had certain special speakers, kind of ex kind of sports stars, that were linked to that either sport or the kind of club or stadium that we're at. So, for instance, John Hartson, he's an ex-footballer. He spoke at the Bristol City Stadium, and he unfortunately went through some hard times back in 2009, I believe, testicular cancer that spread to his brain. It's horrible, but he survived, came through, and he stood up and talked through that, and it was just fascinating. You had Maggie Alfonsi, the lady rugby player, ex-England star, and she talked about all the challenges that she had from a from a racist point of view. Female rugby star. It's just fascinating to hear their kind of background, their stories, and although it's a different world to us, we've all got challenges, we've all got stories, and it kind of makes you realise that we're all in it together. And again, that sounds cheesy, but that's how I felt, and I think it really shone through and resonated with the audience as well.
And in terms of management style and skills, what do you think is the most important characteristics of a great manager?
Communication. Again, this is like a broken record time, but just really communicate, talk to your team. Not just this is what I want you to do, and here's the framework to get that task done. But what do you think? What do you think we should be doing? Give us your thoughts about the objectives and what I've suggested. Have you got any changes, any suggestions to make that how can improve it? In your previous roles, what can you bring to help me and the team progress? It absolutely isn't a one-way street. So that's kind of one thing that I've learned to do, and I always try my best to make sure that my team has an input on the activities that we work on as a team.
Great advice. It's one of the key characteristics that lots of people cite, inclusive and communicating. Very different from your first role by the sounds of it.
Yes, it was, absolutely.
Big step up into senior role, obviously went well. Where next after that then?
2.5 years down the line, Plumbase were taken over by a company that was buying up various plumbing companies. In theory, brilliant, lovely, but then COVID hit, and it just all went wrong. A change was needed. So yeah, moved on, and Murray Uniforms came about, and initially it came about through a phone call while I was in the log flume queue at Legoland. My predecessor phoned me up. She had handed in her notice and was leaving, and she was helping out to find her a replacement. And long story short, she got hold of me through an agency and just phoned me up. I picked up the phone. Have I got time, Liam, to speak? Yes, I have. I've got about 15 minutes before this queue goes. So I had a good chat with her about the role. So that was a great start, and that's one story I will always remember. Luckily, I had a good 8-week handover with her, which was priceless. I've never had that before. I forgot to say, for the kind of Plumbase role, moving from Monarch to Plumbase was a very fast-paced, extreme, probably one of the fastest paced jobs I've ever worked in. A lot to do. The change to Murray was a change in pace, but a more considered change in pace. And that's not to say I worked less or didn't work as hard, and that's not that at all. Head of marketing and brand role that I'm in now, and so I've definitely taken learnings from the previous roles that I've been working on throughout my career, leading me to this role.
And you mentioned more considered. Is that indicative of the culture there? Is it very much more planned and also a team, even more so than your previous roles?
Yes, well, I was going to mention the kind of we element, and I have experienced over my time different departments and teams and different companies. There's very much of my team, I'm going to do this, and I'm not a big believer of that. I honestly want to include my team, there we go, our team, my team, as much as possible, because it is a joint effort. And quite simply, I don't do it all. My team, the team, works extremely hard to get the job done. So why shouldn't I mention them? Why shouldn't I include them? Why shouldn't I, again, involve them in part of the strategy? So yeah, it's some people are very much me this, me that, I want to do this. So yes, we are important at Murray. and I think we showcase that with the heads of department. We have various meetings together. It's a company that absolutely communicates. It's one of the best companies for communication from top down. Our boss, Mark, our MD, extremely good at communicating, again, the objectives of the company. Every year there's a theme. Every year we know where we stand, what the targets are, where we go into from a wider strategy. We're working towards a growth target, we're on a trajectory. We've all got to buy into that. And Mark's very good at communicating the targets to everyone and objectives. Again, asking for opinions, asking for thoughts. It isn't just this is what we're doing and just you need to get on with it. That's just not how it works.
And going back now, obviously an awful lot of things learnt through your career. What advice would you give to your younger self when you were starting out with managing internal and external resources?
I would say just believe in yourself. When I first became a manager, like I think I mentioned, the imposter syndrome kicked in. I must admit, I didn't think I was good enough. I'm a confident person generally, I am, but sometimes new activities, new kind of experiences just kind of make you think sometimes, oh, should I be doing this? But just believe in yourself. You just got to get immersed into different experiences, different situations. Talk to as many people as possible, not just senior execs that might open some doors for you, but other people. They can give you a different perspective on your career, but also outside of work, from friends and family or contacts that you meet or new people. Just talk, because you never know what they might come up with and help you. So I'd say those are the kind of key areas that I'd say.
Looking at more experienced managers, obviously including yourself, what piece of advice would you give to somebody that's experienced and wants to go on to become an even better manager?
I'd say just be open with their time. I always say to my team, look, if there's anything that you need of me, just give me a text. If I don't pick up straight away or don't pick up the phone or answer, I will get back to you. This is like, for urgent situations, but make them clear, make them understand that you're there for them, that you've got their back. I would say that. And just on that, in terms of you've got your back, my old boss Claire at Plumbase, that's one thing I forgot to say. Absolutely, you had the sense that she had my back from the first day, which I won't forget. Going back to your question, definitely make sure that they know that you've got their back.
I guess trust is a word that's used a lot, but it comes down to that, trusting in your manager and your team. You're looking out for one another.
Absolutely. And just a couple of other things. Just regular communication. Again, the strategy, the kind of plans that you have, communicate. If you don't talk to them, they'll never know, and mistakes will happen and things go wrong. So it sounds obvious, but that's what they need to do. But one other thing is go down to the shop floor every now and again. Senior leaders sometimes forget about what happens at the coalface, the shop floor, however you want to describe it. I read something on LinkedIn recently about the kind of iceberg of ignorance. Something like 4% of senior execs only realise the kind of problems that happen in the company because they're not going down to the level where the work happens. So middle management, other areas do see the problems, but the top brass do not, because they're not regularly visible at the shop floor. Companies that do it well, say Monarch, Avon, absolutely, they absolutely go down and speak to everyone, every level, to understand the challenges, but also the good things as well, that then they can shape the strategy accordingly. And I've seen it on the flip side where the seniors and the execs do not visit the shop floor and problems unravel pretty quickly.
It's also ideas as well. It's a lot easier to find 100 ideas that improve things by 1% than that one big idea. And a lot of those ideas come from the people, as you say, that are at the sharp end.
Absolutely. And even at Murray today, so we do present our strategy from a department point of view at our launch meetings in January. And I always say to everyone, because we all attend, listen, I'm not after just opinions and thoughts for marketing from my peers. I'm after it from everyone in the room. You've all got friends and family. You're all customers. you all go to shops and buy things, please pick up the phone, send me a team, send me an email, grab me in the office, wherever you see me. If you've got an idea, please tell. It might be the little nugget that we need to really make a breakthrough. So definitely encourage that.
So in terms of where you get your insights, ideas, knowledge, people that inspire you, what sort of recommendations have you got for new and experienced managers for places to go, things to look at?
I'm not a book person, if I'm quite honest with you. I'm not a book man. Yes, I do read books, and let's just put it out there. And yours, actually, Pete, Better Managers. I'm started to read that, so that's a little plug there. But no, seriously, going to read in that. And there's a book at Murray that we're encouraged to read called Scaling Up. It's very apt for the business that we're in now, because we're on a very strong growth trajectory, by Vern Harnish, the author. But no, I'm really one for in-person events, conferences, summits. We've got one coming up in September, and we've got some great speakers coming up, including Richard Potter from Microsoft. We've got Professor Alan Norbury from Siemens. Experts in various fields like that. It's fascinating to listen to. There are other events, summits that I go to. Some of it's a refresher and a reminder of what you're doing or what you will be doing, but most of the time it's, oh, brilliant, yeah. That's a really good idea. I'm going to take that away with me. So there's various in-person events that I like to go to, but LinkedIn, I get a lot of my information from LinkedIn. Sign up to various kind of specialist groups. So yeah, LinkedIn, I would say, is good.
That's brilliant. Liam, thank you very much. Always interesting to hear the angles from different parts of businesses and obviously all the different sectors you've worked in. Thank you very much for being on the Managing People podcast.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you found it interesting and informative. There's a whole lot more on the Managing People Hub, including all the things that were mentioned in this episode. You can find the link in the notes. If you'd like to get in touch, that would be great. Let me have your comments and feedback, and please do subscribe. See you next time.